There we go.
Sweat Equity Podcast and streaming show.
Money now.
Ooh, I played footsie with you. Sorry.
Money now.
Hey,
Charge
June
for that.
If you're in the Tampa area, June 28th and 30th.
Oh, we're gonna promote this every time.
Every time, buddy.
Okay.
It's all about promo. Gotta fill it up, gotta sell it out, gotta get more shows. It never stops.
What?
At the Gimmick, filming a comedy special. You are opening and directing.
Now I'm opening.
I thought you were doing 5 minutes.
Okay, fine. No, I want to.
Okay.
I just
Gotta make sure you
threw
got
out that
5
I was
minutes.
directing. Okay.
You got 5?
Fuck yeah, 5 minutes. It'll be about you.
You got 5? That means you got 2. That's what old people in comedy say.
Yeah, maybe, but like when it's gonna be directly about you and how long it took to make the special, it's easy.
This episode of Sweat Equity is brought to you by Zupyak, the first search-optimized AI writer. Zupyak just launched the first AI writer on the market where search data is integrated into the AI writer workflow. No knowledge needed about SEO to create content that will have better search impact in seconds, not hours. Go to Zupyak.com, that's Zupyak.com, promo code SWEAT, like Sweat Equity, Key Sweat, Sweaty Balls like I got right
Sweat
now.
on my body right
Sweat
now.
Lodge
It's hot
Studio.
as hurts.
And another sponsor I love, Flowdesk, email marketing cleaned and
What
scrubbed.
is it?
Yeah,
New one?
cleaned and scrubbed all the emails I uploaded in a CSV file. I can't say enough good things about it. Move over, MailChimp, Flowdesk. If you get
I thought it was keeping track of your period.
at the workplace,
I want money.
Flowdesk email marketing, get 50% off by hitting the link in the description. Other sponsors: Squarespace, CallRail, LinkedIn Premium, and Bloom Invoicing. Let's get it going with our biggest Redbeard, Hotty Toddy.
Called sweat equity.
You are listening to the Sweat Equity Podcast.
Pretty cool.
That's annoying.
Chinese.
What?
They're Chinese, aren't they?
Who?
Zoom.
Oh. Probably. Leaving that in.
Hey guys,
What's up?
not much. Yeah, I went to log in and it asked for a code, wouldn't let me in.
We were just talking about it. He's got to pay his Zoom.
Zoom wants me to pay annually again. I think I was going to do monthly until we find some way else to do this guest kind of broadcast, because you got to pay like through the nose to get it in 1080, and it's kind of ridiculous. And
Have you checked out Riverside? That's what I use.
we tried it once. There's something I didn't like about it. I can't remember.
The thing you're not thinking about, though, is that webcam is not 1080.
What is it?
720p.
Yeah, but you can get a $30 webcam extension, right?
I have one laying around here,
Right.
but
So that's not a
Yeah,
problem.
that's what I use.
I'm just
I
saying.
just bought a cheap webcam to go 1080.
Yeah, the 4K ones are like $30 now.
Yeah. When you get all this, you need to do it right.
Right. Yeah. No, we'll
Yep.
we'll do what we do in post, make you look even better.
Can we change the thumbnail picture for our podcast while I'm thinking of it, so I don't look like a caveman? You look like a man boy, beautiful eyes.
I did that in the hopes that you would get upset and do something different.
I know, but you do it. I don't want to have to do it.
Yeah.
Is that your get up for filming your special? How'd that go last night?
No, it's at the end of June. Eric is directing and editing.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was last night and tomorrow night. I thought
No,
it was
28th of June, 30th of June. I turned 40 June 25th, the devil's birthday, right?
yeah, I know.
Yeah. What? Tell everybody where to find you, all the plugs and whatnot. We can't do lightning round. You've already done them. So you don't have to earn your plug this time around.
Yeah, so I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. You can check out my book on Amazon. You can check out my program at destinationemployer.co. I'm about the easiest person to find.
#1 best-selling author.
That is me.
And Redbeard Solutions is the company.
Indeed, it is.
What's on your mind this time around? Because we really only talked about, we touched on management and recruiting. We touched on the recruiting funnel a bit last time you were on, but I feel like there was a lot more to kind of get to, especially with your destination employer book. I'm sure there's a lot more chapters you want to discuss.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you what, there's a couple things I'd love to talk about. You tell me how this will play with your audience. But one of them is the absolutely abysmal job most companies do in engaging talent to inspire them to stay and perform. I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, go for it.
The other thing that would be cool is really the change in the workforce as a whole. When our parents had jobs, they planned on staying with them, their whole life. They had maybe 2 jobs when they're adults, obviously, their whole careers. When we hit the workforce, me 10 years ahead of law, apparently. When we hit the workforce, that was down to about 5 to 7 years per job. Fast forward to now, the average tech person stays in a role for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Our numbers check out.
Would you say it's a negative when someone has a longer kind of tenure and doesn't really kind of move up the ranks?
It's interesting you say that. Multiple studies have been done that the fastest way to climb the ranks and increase your salary is to change jobs every 2 to 3 years. The downside of though, and that's the change, it's not even about a right, wrong, good, bad. It's about aligning expectations and making sure you understand what this dynamic means to you as both an employer and an employee. Because the downside is companies don't want to spend on upskilling anymore because they know the dude and dudette are going to jet in 2 years.
Well, if anybody goes back and listens to the first time you were on, I still think about this a good amount is, you had kind of a counterintuitive look at once you hire someone, you sit them down and kind of go, okay, what's your exit? What's the next thing you're going to do? It's going to be here or somewhere else. And I want to know. I think that's very smart. I don't think a lot of people have that kind of foresight. But back to when you're hiring, I do have something else. I was talking about.
Do you?
Yeah.
I feel like you're just babbling.
I just remembered it. I was talking about it last night with a friend. There are hiring scams out there.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's happening a lot more. There's a lot of fraud going on. Some people have fraud where they're putting in their social security as the end game for that. I've had it where people act as a recruiter. They don't have the contract. They interview for an hour. I don't get how this scam works.
Yeah.
They interviewed me for an hour. I looked them up afterward, a little bit more diligence. They didn't have the contract with the company because I called the company and they're like, we've never heard of them.
You remember that happened to me too at that.
Yeah. I mean, there's more and more scams, a lot of them on LinkedIn too. Can you tell us what's out there, what to look out for? Because that's really for our audience, for anybody kind of trying to get hired, that is a big thing where you're like, I don't know how legit this is, but
it's a time waster.
But you catch people at their most vulnerable, right? A lot of people when they're unemployed,
they gotta say yes to everything.
I'll do anything. I gotta throw it all out there, and it's not very calculated. It's emotional, not measured. And so, can you speak to any of these scams? What to look out for?
For sure. So, Conman 101 is to hit the vulnerable. And to elaborate on your point, in my experience, human beings are binary. We either think or we feel. And when you're staring down the barrel of not paying your mortgage, you're feeling. So you will do things you wouldn't otherwise do. A scam that a guy tried to run on my daughter, which didn't work out super great for him, was he actually hacked an HR rep's LinkedIn profile at a real company. They're blameless, so I'll leave them nameless. But a legit company, got her contact info, cut her out of the loop, contacted my daughter as her, interviewed her in the shoddiest, stupidest 15-minute interview ever, said, you're the person, you've got the job, we're hiring you. It never happens in a 15-minute interview for a perm job. said that in order to start, they needed her to buy some equipment that they would reimburse her for. A lot stuff you'd think for at home, laptop, printer, stuff like that, and that they had the best rates for a company they knew. So they sent her the info, and thankfully she reached out to me before she ordered it, because that was the scam. She buys the equipment, and no check to reimburse comes, and there's no job.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I didn't
Rule
know-
one is when you're getting a job, you don't pay money or buy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If they're asking you to spend money to get a job, it's a hard no. But the main thing is, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is standard. But the other thing is this: can they answer meaningful questions about the company? Now, kind of piggybacking on what I said earlier, it's an interview is two entities that each have a responsibility. The interviewer has the responsibility to ensure that this person has the skills and experience to do the job, and that they're a cultural match for the company. The interviewee has the responsibility to make sure this is a good career match for them. It makes sense, and they're a cultural match for the company. So if they're both doing their job, they're both asking questions. If an interview feels like an interrogation, it's a garbage interview. So I say all this to say, when you're talking to that person, if they can speak about the job, about the role, about the company, it's probably real.
Yeah, it's. I always think about it. Their first dates, really. It's
that's a great example.
You're
Yeah.
sniffing each other out.
You do the greatest hits.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, these pants are really tight because my bulge is so big.
You know who your dad is?
Yeah, those. Am I gonna have to deal with any dad issues down the line?
Right.
That works for a job interview or a date.
Yeah. Yeah, that one applies to both. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want women getting some ditzy broads getting hysterical on me.
Yeah. Take a chill pill, will you?
But I mean, it does feel like that all the time. You're basically meeting up with someone. Usually, if you know them, it's probably not that well, and you're trying to ask each other questions. I remember when I was younger, kind of interviewing for right out of college, I'm interviewing for jobs, and it was a lot of me not asking questions and realizing that, the third time I was like, oh, I got to come in with some stuff. Like, I can't just limp into this.
Yeah.
I can't go, here's my resume.
That's part of the interview.
Well,
he didn't ask any of his own questions.
Well, I had answers prepared, right? It was like, tell a story that shows how you overcome a hurdle kind of thing when they ask a question, all that. Yeah. How you had a success or a win in the face of adversity. Try to tell some kind of stories that way so they show your character. But I didn't have any questions of my own. And then I was like, right. Yeah. Because if you went on a first date, and I've been on plenty where they thought I was going to entertain them because I'm a comic. And I was like, this has to be ping pong. It has to be back and forth.
Entertain me too.
Yeah. I'm not on. Like right now, not funny. But,
tell me about it.
And on stage, not so much either. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll piggyback on what you said. So when you're preparing for an interview, you want to do some basic website search. You want to peep the person on LinkedIn a little bit, learn a little bit about them. But a great rule of thumb is this: they ask you a question, say a technical or experiential question. If you're confident that you know what they're looking for, because that's another thing to understand. Most hiring managers who interview aren't skilled interviewers. They might interview 10 or 15 times a year. It's just a small portion of what they do. A professional recruiter, obviously, is a different thing. But when they ask you a question, if it's overly general, give them a positive general answer and reply, then ask a narrowing question back. So if they ask something super general, like, do you know how to use Microsoft Office? Well, they probably want to know more than that. And probably they're thinking there's only one right answer, but there's a billion. So you could say something like, yeah, I know how to use Microsoft Office. How would I use it here? Or what particular tools in that package would I use here? And that forces them to give you a more narrow answer. And then you can elaborate on that. And then you ask something like, is that the way we would do it here? And that it keeps it conversational. To your point, it keeps it a ping pong ball.
Yeah, if you keep asking questions, I feel like the conversation usually goes better, dates or interviews.
Yeah, you don't want to make it like a trudge. you don't want to make it feel like that,
But
And
also,
then I feel like an interviewer comes out of it being like, that was easy. And to them, that's like, oh, I could work with that person. Our interview, we took an hour and it went by so quick and, blah, 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 sort of thing where it's like keeping it conversational can help with that.
and also, like, if you don't know Microsoft Office, like, you can be like, it basically, you're asking a question of like, how would we use that here? And then if you got the job, you'd be like, okay, I gotta really get on
How
Excel.
do I use this?
I gotta really get my VLOOKUP formulas going.
Yeah, and there's a couple important things there. That's a little bit of a Jedi mind trick. How would we use it here? You're getting that person and vision you worked in there. The second part is every single interview, regardless of who the person is, they're getting a vibe of whether they think they can work with you or not. So if you can talk with them and have a conversation, that immediately lets them know that you can.
Yeah,
don't make them feel awkward.
I picture
working with them is going to be awkward.
I picture this with clients a lot of the time because it's kind of an interview process of sorts when you're doing perspective kind of meetings. And it's, would they want to hang out? I ask the same question. If I had to be in a room late night with them eating Chinese food and working late, would that work? Do I foresee that? Could we make a working relationship like that?
I don't think that applies as much.
It's colorful. I'm just saying, like,
you can overlook a lot of
it's a very
fucking shitty people as clients,
right?
That you don't gotta.
I'm
talk
just saying,
to
like,
all the time.
Part of getting hired is a friendliness or ability to, and it shouldn't be, but it is. The ability to kind of be affable and be able to hang out with that or be around that person. You might not love talking
I
to
don't
them.
need the person to become my soulmate, but I want to know that at the end of that hypothetical night, I'm not going to drive the chopsticks through his eye.
Yeah.
So 100% yes. And I would disagree slightly and say part of it is being able to be a little bit affable. If we can't interact, what a miserable experience that would be.
Sure, yeah.
Suck on that, bro.
Oh, that was at me? What did I say? I didn't say that. I don't remember. I mean, no, I agree totally. What? Rewind that. I don't remember what I said.
That's a flame shift go on right there.
Yeah.
That's 101 stuff. But the thing to remember too, because the length of employment is dropping so much, because the mindset is almost becoming long-term partners versus employer and employee, more of the responsibility, and this is what I was talking about earlier, it's less about good, bad, more about how it works for you. More of the responsibility falls on the candidate to figure out if this makes sense. They need to understand, does this legitimately represent a progression in my career? Because I'm only going to be there 2 years. Can I accomplish enough there?
Yeah, and I think back to the vulnerability, I think a lot of people go in nervous because they need the gig. And
for sure.
And that you kind of act irrationally. You can't go like, because what happens when you're unemployed for long enough, but you have skill set to work in a lot of places, there's just you're not getting a lot of interviews. It's one of those things where you start like devaluing yourself a lot, and then you come in very insecure.
Yeah, you fuck fat chick.
It's very similar to sales. The more you need the sale, the harder it is to close.
Right, and the more eagerness or like kind of old Gil needs a sale from The Simpsons, or what is it?
That was enough.
Coffees for closers.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying. Glenn Gerry, Glenn Ross.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the thing.
You don't love
the irony of all the famous sales movies is they pretty universally represent horrible salespeople. Great salespeople, the person who they're selling to, that person feels guided to a decision they wanted to make. Bad salespeople, the person feels pushed or manipulated.
So a good sales movie, Passion of the Christ.
Yes.
Interesting.
Maybe the ultimate salesman.
Yes.
Who knows? And everyone's selling him. Pontius Pilate.
Yeah, pyramid scheme.
Yeah. So
trickled down.
All right, we derailed from where you were going originally. And now I can't even remember because I'm thinking of Jesus.
Yeah, you brought it up. I don't know why you bring it up. Why would you bring it up?
I'd argue that we just looking from the candidate perspective, but talking about that shorter period of time and how it transitions the relationship. The thing to remember again, I was talking to this woman named Grace McCarrick. She's called the culture coach. And we're talking about, for the first time in the history of the United States, 5 generations are actively in the workforce. Boomers, Gen X, Millennials, Gen Z, and now Gen A.
Yep.
So you've got 5 different generations. The boomers still remember a time when, again, they were going to be in a job for 10 to 20 years. There's an expectation from that generation that an employer has some responsibility for their welfare. Gen A, they're practically all gig mindset because that's the world they grew up in. And there's a difference there in expectation and responsibility. Again, it's not as much a right-wrong thing. It's a reality of the marketplace. So for that boomer or that older Gen X like myself, them looking at an employer and expecting something other than the next paycheck is probably a bad mindset. Whereas that Gen A person realizes that, again, they're there until their mission and values no longer align with that company. And again, that's typically about 2 years.
Yeah, the market will demand, and if you don't realize it, you have bad expectations of what's going to happen.
I mean, I think the gig mindset in terms of like happiness or just fulfillment or like lack of disappointment. Like if you're just used to being like, hey, this is what I'm doing now. Maybe it'll stay, maybe it won't. When a layoff comes out of nowhere, it doesn't completely devastate you as it would the older generation.
Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons. So like in the older mindset, there was more clear path to where you were going. There was more involvement from the employer in things like upskilling, training, career planning. And there was a lot more expectation of responsibility on the part of the employer. Today, it's in your hands. So when you're picking your next path, you have to make sure it makes sense. When an opportunity comes to upskill, you need to take it, and you're probably paying for it yourself. And you need to include that so that next time you get enough more than the prior gig that it makes up for that difference. And again, it's not a good bad. It's just adapting the reality of the marketplace.
So like on the flip side, do you see more, or I guess it would be less internal hire, like, moving up, or is it more like bringing people in from the outside because, they're only going to be here for 2 years. So why not
Full-time,
get the best person?
Full-time in-house or contracted? Is that what you're kind of going?
No, I'm just saying, like, when it comes to, like, do you see more, like, if there's an open position, say somebody took that next step up and there's an open position, is there more outside hiring going on now than compared to, like, inside promotion?
It's still pretty mixed. I'll say this. Here's something interesting. I've always been an advocate, assuming you're not settling for lesser talent, to hire internally first. It's great for morale. It shows progression. But here's something to think about. Imagine for a minute that the CEO role becomes available in a mid to large size company. He retires, he quits, whatever, he dies, who cares? Mm-hmm. Not there anymore. So you take one of your executive VPs and you bump them up to CEO. Now you've got an EVP role open. So you bump a VP up to EVP role. Now you get a VP role open. So you bump a director up to that role. Before you realize it, you're 5 new people in new roles, whereas hiring an external CEO only changes 1 seat.
That's a great point.
That's something to keep in mind when you're doing internal promotion. Again, not a bad thing, but sometimes when you think it all the way through, it's a lot more instability than what you think.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Take that intern, make him or her the CEO.
Right.
Exactly.
Then so maybe just for new position.
Right. Well, you see them doing the intern job very well. They might as well be CEO. What about that kind of Dunning-Kruger effect with the generation? I guess it would be millennial to whatever the youngest workforce generation is. Is there a lot of that you're seeing?
No,
Dunning-Kruger is where you think you watched a YouTube video for 5 minutes and you think you're an expert on a subject.
Oh, I didn't understand what I lost.
It's the opposite of imposter syndrome or effect or whatever.
Yeah, so interestingly, you see that with the younger generation, but what you don't see as much is the Peter principle. Where somebody
who's got the biggest dick in the room.
where somebody promotes out of their ability to do the role, and everything they touch from that point forward turns to shit. So yeah, it's a weird time in the market. But circling back, one of the things I talk about a lot in the Destination Employer program is just that, having a consistent, cohesive plan that covers the attraction, the recruitment, and the retention, so that by having it one cohesive system or plan, when you bring somebody in, and we talked about a little bit on the last episode, you're setting and managing expectations. Because if you as an employer can keep a person in your organization productive for a longer period of time, that's a net win for both of you. And the way that you do that is to know what they're trying to achieve, clear the path for that, make sure they feel heard and valued, they're fulfilled in their role, and they're growing. If those three things are happening, you're incentivizing them to stay. They don't need to leave. But as soon as they hit that ceiling, now there's a reason for them to leave. If you understand what that is and you can give it to them internally, more's the better. If you can't, you know that they're going to go. Natural breaking point.
So for you, because for me, I feel like it's something that I value too much, maybe, but like when it comes to an org chart, just having it laid out, who's doing what, who's in charge of who, how much value do you put in that?
It depends on the organization. For very small companies, they're laughable, because in a small company, everybody does whatever needs to happen.
Uh-huh.
In larger organizations, as the value of generalists transitions to specialists, they become more valuable. Smaller orgs typically value generalists for what I just described. They can do whatever needs to happen. But as the company gets bigger and the need for depth of knowledge increases, you give up breadth of knowledge for depth. You get that, we call them T-skilled people, some depth, but really only in one or two areas, and then a lot of breadth. When you get to that point, then yeah, the org chart is important. It is of value.
They're a fishing pond that's 50 feet wide and 2 feet deep, kind of deal.
It's like closest thing to a scoreboard you can get sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Back in the day when I was doing technology staffing, it was important for me to have incredible general knowledge, because we sold all kinds of technology staffing. So I might be talking to somebody about a cloud security. Well, that was before cloud security was the thing. A network security person in the morning. I might be talking about a software developer in the afternoon, and a project manager in the middle. So I need to be able to talk a little bit about it to everybody. But when I come back to the barn, I go to the recruiting pod that mastered that skill, and I get all the depth stuff from them. So that was beneficial in that type of a context.
A player coach, to use a metaphor that's used often, I guess, around the recruiting side. You know, we need someone, when you get higher up, we need someone that's a generalist that has specialties as well, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Behind you, you talked about this last episode, but I kind of want to see if you have more on it. There's a flywheel behind you about change.
And a guy with a knife.
There is a knife behind me.
Okay.
Is there?
Yeah, here's a fighting knife from when I was in the Marines. That's
Wow, right within arm's reach.
Yeah, man, I'd be playing with
Just
that the whole
goes
time.
wrong, it's going to be a bad night for law.
No, I'm no
See,
weapon.
I saw the knife. I saw it with my eyes.
Well,
felt it.
I see the flywheel behind you, and change is inevitable. It's one of those things where
He's got a gun.
I think to change behavior is the hardest thing, right? To change habits, to motivate. Your flywheel behind you about change management, I'm guessing, it just says change, but I'm going to put change management. It's learn, build, measure, and they all three kind of push each other.
You don't know for sure it's build. Could be guild.
Could be. Someone's been playing Wordle. It's a 5-letter guy.
I think that's the only one. Ah, damn.
But
yeah, so
I'm interested in flywheels as I've been reading about it lately, and it's kind of that thing of forward momentum. It can work the opposite way as well, but
it depends which way you point the arrows.
Right. So if you think about it like a spring, like a slinky, it can go up or it can go down, because one thing can push the other thing down, or it can push it up. So that's the flywheel kind of mentality. But really, people talk about it in forward momentum.
Yeah, this one is tilted towards product development. So it's from software development, this particular one, but it works just as well in services. the build would change, but the concept is the same. It's all about iteration. So whether it's a product or service, you develop your product or service, you share it with the marketplace, they give you feedback. That's the learn part. You see what changes need to happen, and then you measure those changes to make sure you're getting what you need, and then you iterate again and again and again. But the main thing to remember about change, regardless of anything else, and you touched on it a little bit there, Law, change is a process, not an event. People don't break habits. That's a fallacy. People replace habits. So when you're trying to change a person's behavior, try to get them quit smoking or stop wearing pink headbands, whatever it is, it's not going to happen by itself. You need to give them something to replace.
I told him
that
to say that.
No, I wear the shit out of this, so I don't care. I look good. I'm like Lizzo, body
Why
positive.
did I
about
get
it.
a pink one? I got a stupid green one just sitting around.
That's
not
the
pink
one you chose.
No, you just gave it to me.
You
I
can
didn't
get
a
whatever,
choice.
bro.
Bro, I want both.
This one's
What
a
about orange one?
this one's a Nike one. You ain't getting this one.
So I'll tell you a quick story. So many years ago, when I used to do a lot of workshops and a lot of sales and management training, one of my clients flew me down to Hotlanta to do a one-day sales workshop with their team. And it was a good day. Everyone was happy at the end. Everybody was all excited. It was, I think it was like a Wednesday or Thursday, if I remember right.
Woo-hoo. Sorry.
The following Monday, I called the owner and he was like, hey, that was great, but everybody's back to doing what they were doing already.
Yeah. And motivation's
Yeah, and I was
temporary. Like
Yeah, and that's what I told him. I was like, look, the only way this works, sell a coaching package. Sell a coaching package. The only way this works is if that's supported until it becomes habit. And that experience, I stopped doing one-day workshops. It just because it's fun for me because I get to go somewhere and spend a day doing what I do, but it's almost completely ineffective. So, far more effective rather than fly me down there and pay a day rate for me to go and talk in front of a group would be to do a weekly webinar for a month and group coaching for 3 months. Same output dollar-wise, but a much, much more effective outcome.
we are what we habitually do.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's Aristotle? Plato? Socrates? I can't remember.
Oh, that's
One of the
so
three.
long.
I want to say Aristotle.
You make your habits and then your habits make you.
That's better.
That's Wooden, UCLA. Uh-oh.
I think so. I'm pretty sure it's the basketball coach, Coach Wooden.
Yeah, all his quotes are just reversed of the first sentence. I feel like the shots,
Right.
you don't take the shots take
Yeah.
you or something, all that stuff. But we're running out of time. We'll get you back on here. I owe you a call later this week or next week, off air. And anything, where can people, we'll do it again, where can people find you?
Yeah, so my LinkedIn profile, destinationemployer.co, redbeardsol.com. You can get my book on Amazon, Destination Employer. I'm the easiest person to find in the world.
Yeah, you're one of the few people on LinkedIn messaging that I'm like, oh shit, I forgot. A lot of it's spam.
Dude, it's so hard.
No, dude, how many podcast
Hello,
promotion
sir, you
messages?
want promote podcast?
Yeah, you want podcast promotion?
No, doctor, MD.
Yeah.
Why does
Exactly.
everybody's name who wants to promote my podcast start with MD Mohad Masign?
Say more. Keep going.
No.
Yeah, keep going.
I just don't, what
you-
is the medical treatment like
Would you like a podcast?
wherever they live?
Would you like a
And I'm not saying anything.
Podcast promotion?
I didn't bring anybody's race or nationality into this.
I did.
Yep.
70% of my LinkedIn messages are either AI generated or some VA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Everyone claims I should be friends with them for some. I love the ones that people just. It's AI messaging. They're using Apollo or something like that. But it's like I haven't replied to anything, and there's 17 messages like a stalker.
Just bumping this to the top. You can stop bumping it. You don't have to keep bumping it to the top. It's not going to ever matter where it's bumped to. I'm not going to pay.
Congrats on your new role, generic
thank you.
message.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, my favorite, even more than that, is when the third or fourth outreach gets passive aggressive. Well, I guess you're not.
Oh,
the
yeah.
person that talked
Right,
about
yeah.
that. I'm sorry, I didn't reply to the message I didn't ask for.
It's
Yes.
like, are
My
you
bad.
even listening? Are you even reading these or
I
something like
guess
that?
you don't want to improve your business, you know.
I'm like, don't do the
You got
fucking,
me, I don't.
don't do
Oh,
the
man.
pickup artist on me. Like,
Right,
don't
neg
neg
me,
me.
bro.
Oh, you're looking a little fat, but I like it.
Yeah, shut up.
Yeah, that shit don't work. All right, bud. Thanks for coming back on. We'll have you on, I'm sure, in a couple months or something.
Sounds great, guys. Great talking as always.
Thanks, man.
Toodaloo.